the murder of 7-year-old Pradyuman in school shocked you by its sheer brutality, this story will leave you unnerved. A 7-year-old was allegedly sexually assaulted by her schoolmate studying in class 5th. This too inside the washroom of the school in Ghaziabad.
On November 8th, where the 7-year-old girl had gone to the washroom of her school, and according to her, this particular class 6 boy had followed her there and he allegedly slapped her and also tried to insert wooden twigs into her private part.
According to the FIR copy, the boy allegedly followed the girl into the washroom, intimidated her, assaulted her by inserting sticks into her private parts. And it gets worse. Parents of the 7-year-old have alleged their daughter approached not one, but 2 different teachers who ignored their daughter's plea for help. The horrific incident came to light when the girl started bleeding at home.
जैसे निकली तो पहले थप्पड़ लगाई, 2 थप्पड़, तो फिर वहाँ पे पकड़ के वो अंदर ले गई, उसके लकड़ी का मतलब कि इस्तेमाल किया, फिर हमारी बच्ची रोती रोती चली आई.
As India reports an alarming rise in heinous crimes committed inside the school, Mirror Now asks, why aren't our schools keeping our children safe? Why is no one monitoring the school washrooms? Shouldn't schools be held liable for security lapses? Mirror Now report.
Watching the urban debate in Mirror Now, I'm Faye D'Souza. This is an important thing for us to discuss. But how we keep our children safe in schools, and case after case brings it back to our attention that we need to put this on top priority. The case that has now emerged from Ghaziabad is just as scary, if not scarier, than the other cases we've heard in the past, where school students are now being accused of violating each other. How will anyone keep one school student safe from the other? Is it the school's responsibility? Is it the government's responsibility? Is it the teacher's responsibility? Or is it just society? That's the question we're asking. And this is a question to ask calmly, to find solutions at this point, because we're talking about the safety of each of our children and we're talking about the future of our country. Joining me on the show this evening, K.K. Manan, Senior Criminal Advocate with the Delhi High Court, Amit Khemka, Senior Lawyer with the Supreme Court, Dr. Harish Shetty is a Senior Psychiatrist, Sushil Kumar Tekriwal is the Advocate with the Supreme Court representing Pradyuman's family, Vikram Singh, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, and Shirley Paul, Principal of Mumbai State MA High School. And we have thus also the victims or the survivor's father in this particular case. I'm going to start with the father who can hear us, but we have masked his identity because in cases like this, the identity of the survivor or the victim is protected and is most important. बच्ची के पापा, अगर मेरी आवाज़ आप तक आ रही है, आप हमें बता सकते हैं कि क्या हुआ था, कैसे हुआ था और स्कूल की रिएक्शन क्या थी? बच्चे की पापा, मेरी आवाज़ आप तक आ रही है?
हाँ, आ रही है भाई.
हाँ, आप मुझे बता सकते हैं, आप हमें बता सकते हैं कि क्या हुआ था स्कूल में?
स्कूल में यही है, 8 नवंबर की वो घटना है.
जी हाँ, बोलिए बोलिए.
8 नवंबर में वो लड़की हमारी पूरे दिन रह गई स्कूल में.
जी,
स्कूल में पूरे दिन रह गई. उसके बाद फिर वो फ़ोन किए स्कूल से, तो हम बोले कि ठीक है, बस वाले लेके आ जाएंगे. तो बस तो पहले ही आ गए. तो बस आने के बाद फिर हम अपने मिसेज को भेजे कि स्कूल में चली जाओ, तुम हिमांशी वहीं है, बस नहीं आया, 3 बजे तक तो वहीं खड़ी है, तो स्कूल चली जाओ. फ़ोन आया था तो गई लेने के लिए, स्कूल से लेके आ गई. उस दिन प्रदूषण के कोई वजह से क्या कोई कारण से स्कूल बंद कर दिए थे.
अच्छा.
एक ही क्लास में 5वीं क्लास में बच्चे सबको 15 या 20 बच्चे को एक ही क्लास में डाल दिए थे
जी,
पूरे स्कूल के बच्चे के. और बच्चे सब चले गए, जो बच गए एक ही क्लास में थे.
अच्छा।
तो क्लास में से गई वो बाथरूम के लिए, तो वहाँ पे पीछे पीछे 6 क्लास का लड़का भी गया था पीछे पीछे।
जी।
और लड़का वो गए तो वहाँ पे जाके थप्पड़ ऊपर मारा। कुछ थप्पड़ मारने के बाद और उसके साथ क्या किया न किया वो बता रही थी। फिर उसके बाद भी 1-2 दिन हरकत की, पीछे पीछे जाके थप्पड़ मार दी और दूसरे लड़की को भी थप्पड़ मारी जो हिमांशी के साथ वो।
हाँ,
जो
आप बच्ची का नाम मत बताइए।
पढ़ रही है।
हाँ।
दूसरी, हाँ, जो लड़की पढ़ रही है उसी क्लास में, 2nd क्लास में
जी।
वो बताई कि उसके साथ गई। जो ये लड़की जब डर रही थी ना तो उसे बुला के ले गई कि चलो मेरे साथ। तो उस दूसरे लड़की को भी थप्पड़ मार दिए।
अच्छा।
तो पीछे से वो लड़की तो चली आई, फिर वहाँ पे ये भी भाग के पीछे पीछे चली आई। इसके बाद जब ब्लीडिंग हुआ तो डॉक्टर के पास ले गए। डॉक्टर यही जवाब दिया कि गर्म चीज़ से मत दो, ठंडा चीज़ खिलाओ उलाओ। तो ये खिलाते पिलाते फिर 2 दिन 4 दिन पे रुक जाते थे, फिर बाद में आ जाते थे। फिर उसके ठीक नहीं होने के कारण फिर दूसरे डॉक्टर के पास ले गए चेकअप कराने
जी।
तो वो डॉक्टर जवाब दिए कि इसका तो पुलिस केस है, ये हमारे पास नहीं, हम दवा भी नहीं दे सकते हैं। तो बच्ची से पूछी गई तो वही उस दिन सारी बात बताई वो।
अच्छा।
और क्लास टीचर को भी बताई कि मैम मुझे थप्पड़ मारा। तो क्लास टीचर उतना एक्शन नहीं ली कि हाँ, वो सीधा बोल रही कि जा अपने सीट पे बैठ जा।
अच्छा।
यही है।
I want to bring in the rest of our
सबसे डर के मार से बता नहीं रही थी वो।
जी। और आपने पुलिस में कंप्लेंट किया?
कंप्लेन मत किए पुलिस में शनिवार के दिन।
स्कूल से कोई रिस्पांस आया?
में कुछ लिखे नहीं, संडे में फिर किया। शनिवार में कुछ वो बताए नहीं।
हाँ।
वहाँ FIR करने के बाद गए स्कूल, थाना से भी गए थे और अंदर भी जो है वहाँ से भी गए थे। सब आदमी ने यही बात सब पूछताछ की, लड़के को बुलाया गया और पहचान भी की लड़की के साथ। तो वो लड़का ने तो कबूल करा कि मैं थप्पड़ मारा, आगे कुछ बोल नहीं रहा वो।
ठीक है। I just want to bring in the rest of our panelists at this point. I want to bring in Dr. Harish Shetty, senior psychiatrist. Dr. Shetty, and we have a copy of the FIR that has been filed by the parents in this case that talks about this 6th standard student who slapped this child and then inserted wooden sticks into her private parts, and when she was screaming, he ran away. Is this, this brings us to the question of how we keep our children safe at this point from other students in the same school, Dr. Shetty. According to you, what's causing these problems? Why is there an increase in these cases now that we're reporting?
I think we need to look at many issues. The first issue is that age of onset of the first sexual violence has gone down. Age of onset of the first sexual intercourse, first episode of depression, first instance of suicide, first instance of violence has gone down. Children are seeing a lot of violence happening around them all the time, and they are desensitized to the same. Also at the same time, they also see that violence is not punished, and it is just left alone. Angst in children is also increasing as they attend 3 schools: their own school, the tuition school, and the mother school. There's hardly any time to play. So you have children who have latent traits of violence, and these children actually, in an era of angst where anonymity is one big syndrome or a symptom, and where violence is there all around them. They watch it in TV, they see it in newspapers, they watch it on videos, they watch it on, their sense of guilt has gone down, and they believe that expressing their anger verbally or physically is not a taboo. At the same time, schools and families do not look at life skill education. There's no time to emote. The emotional contact time in the family has gone down. The emotional contact time in the schools have gone down. So schools and families have become pressure cookers. And in these pressure cookers, some children have a tendency to explode very early and very intensely and very violently, very cruelly with their own brethren at home, with their own parents at home, at the same time with their own peers in school or with peers on the streets. It is increasing across the country. It's not only a local phenomenon. Many cases are not reported, and also parents and teachers are not able to identify early signs of violence which such kids show also in their own families and also in schools. So it's a pressure cooker situation in schools, in families, and on the streets with respect to children. And adult behavior is also copied by children big time.
Right. I also want to bring in Shirley Paul, who's a principal. Shirley Paul, is it possible to separate the older children from the younger children? Because the survivor in this case is a 6-year-old, and going to the washroom by herself with a boy entering the washroom at the same time, shouldn't there be supervision in schools?
One thing what I would like to say is we cannot separate the elder from the younger one. That is not right. Let them mix up together. That's very essential. Psychologically, it is sane. It's important. Okay. And another thing is, as per Supreme Court guideline, if we keep a especially for aided government schools, we do not have provisions where we have an ayah or somebody or maid who can be standing at every toilet, washroom and all. It is not possible. The teacher next door may be able to keep an eye once or twice, but it is not possible. I mean, we are working with an infrastructure and a manpower which is restricted. As per one class, we get only 1.5 teacher. So that 1.5 teacher, now who's that 0.5 teacher, even till date, I have not understood. But I understand here is a setup where if we keep a good control system, all these can be managed well. We can give good security for the entire student faculty, all the students. But that is not possible. This is my helplessness.
You're saying schools are understaffed at this point?
Understaffed, completely understaffed.
Okay, Vikram Singh, this is obviously now within the jurisdiction of the police, but the question that we're asking is, how do we keep the children safe? How do we prevent these incidents from happening, Vikram Singh?
Faye, words of wisdom from Madam Shirley Paul, but I would say that it is perfectly doable. I know it may not be easy, but the fact that if we have a security audit of our schools, we know that there are class 4, there are teachers, there are assistant teachers, there are class monitors, and to have a good... The problem is that after Dr. Shetty has said, I think the parents, the teachers, they don't have it in them, the moral strength to say, no, look here, you are not going to this. In this school, we do things this way. At home, this is the things that a gentleman is supposed to do, and this is something that we do not do. For a very long time, I have not seen parents or teachers, apart from giving them one-way ticket to the pressure cookers, they don't seem to be taking the pressure on themselves in any manner. I would fault the parents first, then the teachers and then the schools for not coming and intervening where the pressure is and telling them that this is what you can do and this is what you cannot do. And it was not something that it happened in my generation that the teachers, only one Auntie Hatfield was enough to give the fear of God in a school of 2,000. One elderly Auntie Hatfield was good enough. And she was moving around like a one-person army in the entire school, the washrooms, the cloakroom, the change rooms and everywhere. And I still get nightmares when I think of late Auntie Hatfield. You just have to have a no-nonsense approach. I still feel with the rudimentary or the basic staff, you can still. And the government, I would next find the government that you should have a security audit of all the school at least once in a quarter. And if there are systems that you can reinforce with, you are flushed with funds, time you give at least 1% of your budget to the security systems too.
Well, the school principal disagrees with you. Shirley Paul?
Yeah, what I would like to say, sir, you are absolutely right. That is an incident of the past. Today in our structure, we have a no detention policy. We have no punishment policy. We cannot brand a child. We cannot punish, means we cannot discipline a child by even telling the child that you are wrong. It is not right. You will get a whole parent force who will come and create such a ruckus in the school. It's so difficult. It is not that we teachers do not want to take the mandate of disciplining the child on us. We do want to do it, but the problem is the society and the system now so created is unhealthy for the growth of the child. The teachers are dedicated, they do want, and the teachers do want to give their service, but because of all the various policies that are coming in, we are what to say, chained, or we had tongue-tied. We cannot do our best.
Dr. Harish Shetty, a statement from you, and then we'll bring in the rest of our guests.
I think Vikram has spoken about his era, but the rules of yesterday's era cannot be applied as of now. And at the same time, the Right to Education Act even protects the rights of the children. I think that's a very good act. We used to hit kids in the past because out of belief. Now parents hit because of angst. What is important is a mental health audit of children, and the teacher should be made all the time apart from the security audit. We did not create an entire scene of paranoia because of safety, and if there's a lot of paranoia in the school, the spontaneity is affected. So it's a balance. The no failure policy is good. The no beating of the child policy is very good, but at the same time we need to teach teachers alternate ways of disciplining children and alternate ways of handling parents. Parents and schools have to work like joint families. Security audit is a must, but mental health audit is as important. When parents and children come together, I think a lot of such incidents can be prevented but not stopped. This era is different, and we can't allow parents to have nightmares, or children's tomorrow as parents to have nightmares of an auntie who moves around with a stick, or a principal who moves around with a stick.
All right, let me bring in the rest of our panelists as well.
New answers, and we can't apply the old answers to the new era.
Let me bring in the rest of our panelists as well. Mr. K.K. Manan joins us, senior criminal advocate. Mr. Manan, an increase of cases being filed right now where abuse is being reported, and if we consider the Pradyuman case, which shook most of India, where a senior student murdered a junior student allegedly, it does seem like the pattern of crime is changing. Where do you think we're going wrong? Is it the school's responsibility? Is it the government's responsibility to make sure that the schools are following rules? Where are we slipping up, Mr. Manan?
You cannot blame the school always, though they should be very vigilant in these days. The children, the way they are being brought up in the houses, parents are equally responsible. You see the age of the child. If they are involved in such type of crime, what you will gauge? The brought up. I totally agree with Mr. Vikram Singh, and he has elaborated in such a way, I can say, that we should respect his views, and in all, we can say that the school authorities also should be so vigilant, staff, teachers, and above all, I will come back again on the parents also. There should be a proper meetings in between school teachers and the parents, and I also agree with one of the lady panelists who was speaking that now there is no, punishment. You see, when we were in the school, I remember that my teacher of English, I was weak in English, even still I am very weak, but you see how he used to beat me or my other students, colleagues, etc. But nobody complained. Rather, my father used to go to the school and tell the teacher, don't afraid from me, but make my child a good person, good citizen. But today, I have done 3 cases in my life so far, where I defended the teachers who slapped the student. Ultimately, when I convinced the judge, they were acquitted. But the only thing is, if somebody and any teacher scolded a child, the second day, mother or the father used to come to the school, make a complaint to the principal. Is it the way now to brought up the children? If there is no fear in the mind of the child, if there is no respect in the minds of the child, so far as their teachers are concerned, then I don't think that they will become a good citizen. Tomorrow they may not be. And,
so I want to open this up. I want to open this up to our phone lines as well. Our phone lines are open right now.
Criminals ultimately,
yes,
not the good citizens.
Not good citizens. But let's look at the case at hand, and the case at hand is very, very worrying. And I want to bring in Mr. Tekriwal at this point. The fact that we're talking about a 6-year-old who, let's look at the events that took place in this case. While everyone says we don't want to blame the school, there was a holiday declared. Most of the children were sent back because of that holiday, because of the pollution in Delhi. And the ones who were not picked up were all put in the same classroom. Now, the girl went to the washroom and the older boy, who is an adolescent, followed her into the washroom, obviously with some intention of whether he was experimenting or causing harm. Mr. Tekriwal, you are of the opinion that the accused, perhaps in Pradyuman's case, should be tried as an adult. But is this case different? And is this a pattern we are now seeing in our schools?
See, the incident which has happened is really disturbing, shocking, and it can shatter the conscience of any individual of the country. There is no doubt about it. I must say one thing: the law at present is not so matured enough and sufficiently immature to deal such kind of situations. I can give some of the narratives to establish my point. First thing is that if we make a comparative study, so far as our international jurisprudence is concerned, with respect to the law of the juvenile is concerned, let us make a comparative study in Indian context. If we go to United States of America and if we compare it with United Kingdom, in United Kingdom there is a adult court, and the juvenile between 10 to 18 years of age, they are being tried as an adult. Also in USA, till recently, when the Supreme Court judgment came in the case of Rupert versus Simons, there was a provision of giving capital punishment even to the juveniles less than 16 years old. If we see the jurisprudential system of juvenile law in France, we find that 13 to 16 years old are being also tried as an adult. Also, I must say one thing. I was just going through a report in Guardian, published in the newspaper Guardian, which says that there is a drastic impact on the physical and mental capability and capacity of a child with respect to the global warming. So what does it mean? It means that in the decade of 60s and 70s, when this puberty age and maturity age was 15 years, 16 years, 14 years, it has been advanced to 9 years, 10 years, 8 years, if this study is to be taken into consideration. Now, keeping in totality of this backdrop, the Indian law is completely out of context, immature. The hue and cry by which after this Nirbhaya incident, we thought that the act will be more stringent, more serious and more mature, which we have ended up not in so shape. Even the new Justice Juvenile Act, which has come into effect from 1st of January 2016, is unable to deal with such kind of situations, and therefore we need today a more perfect law. Apart from other psychological and sociological issues, we need a stringent law where we need to try the offences being committed by the juvenile of between age of 10 to 16 years in a more stringent manner, so that they should not go let off, because their psychological and physical maturity have become more harmonious, more matured, and therefore the law is needed to be more matured. I must say one more thing here.
Yes.
Today, the offences which are being committed, 47% of the offences are being committed by the juveniles, and out of which more than 50% of the offences are committed between the age of 12 to 16 years. Now, amongst those offences, 5.5% are rape, 2.78% are murders. These are heinous offences which are being committed by the age group of 12 to 16 years. And amongst these, 5.5% are the repeat offenders. So the law has to be very mature, stringent, serious, and there is a need also to teach the law in the schools right from the age of 10 years. We have to make the students aware of the repercussions and consequences in a friendly manner.
Right. So I just want to bring in Amit Khemka as well. And here's the question right now. As Sushil Kumar Tekriwal has suggested, is it necessary to make the laws, in cases where the accused is between 12 and 16, more stringent? Is that the route to take, Amit Khemka? Do you agree?
Faye, let me take the cue from Mr. Kejriwal when he says that he's shocked. So whatever we do or the way we react, it is actually a rebound. It is actually that we react. And all the laws which we are making in our country, most or whatever improvements which we are doing in our country, they are as a rebound, as a reaction to the thing, whatever happens. Now, let me come to the basic question. Do we know why these kids are committing crime? Do we know? Have we commissioned any study to know as to why these children are committing crime? Of course, Dr. Shetty, with his experience, can say that today's children are more exposed to violence. They are, in fact, let me add something, that they see violence being glorified. Actually, there are TV shows today where the violence is actually glorified. Now, then you say that you reduce the age of juvenile and try him as an adult. Now, I'm sorry to say, we cannot do that. We cannot shirk the responsibility. Can you deny the fact that in our childhood we were not that stressed as the kids today are? Today the kids are under tremendous pressure. Every parent wants the kid to become a doctor, engineer and be on the top of the class. Every parent wants his children to be the topper of the class. Now that is the situation. And then we have a society which is today so so much after money, so much after greed. Even the parents, everybody around me, if he is greedy, if he wants something or the materialistic, then why do you blame the child? He is only reacting to whatever he is seeing. He is only reacting to whatever circumstances he is living in. So it is not the fault of the child at all, according to me. We have to first of all know why the kids are committing crime, why the society per se is committing crime. Let me give you a statistic. Mr. Kejriwal gave a long list of statistics. Let me give you one statistic limited to my country. 98% of the convicts and under trials in Tihar prisons, that is Delhi, are the people who belong to the income bracket of 8,000 per month and less. So that means that poverty has a direct correlation with the crime. So if this is one fact, then why the violence around me is not a factor which causes crime? Why the materialistic nature of the society is not a reason which causes crime? So all these things, if we are not taking into consideration, if we are wanting to close our eyes and we believe that every time a crime commits and you hang the person, that is how you will contain the crime. I'm sorry, Faye, I can't agree with that. It is not the stringent laws which are required. It is that everybody who is involved in the crime, in the criminal justice system, must know as to why a person commits crime, especially why children are committing crime. That is what we don't know.
Right, I just want to point out, Amit Khemka, that's Sushil Kumar Tekriwal, not Kejriwal, who you were listening to, but we have a couple of people on the phone line. Our phone lines are open. Meghna Mishra on the phone line from Ahmedabad. Meghna, go ahead.
That's right. Yeah, hi, hello everyone. This is Meghna calling from Ahmedabad. What my major concern is, education has become a money minting machinery altogether. No intervention by the government. And anyways, nothing better is expected because it seems they're all hands in gloves. They're all in the same, sailing on the same boat. Why won't we have a Mann Ki Baat on such problems? Did we have a Mann Ki Baat on such problems ever? Does the Prime Minister ever address on such issues? It's not always that you have to address the bigger issues.
Well, there has, I do want to put it on record that there has been one Mann Ki Baat where the Prime Minister addressed the issue of stress among children when preparing for their examinations. But it is true that we have to, as a country, pay more attention to safety within schools. There is one phone call that's coming from Pune, from an anonymous caller. Go ahead, we can hear you. The anonymous caller from Pune.
Yeah. Hi, good evening, Faye. I have been following your show day in and day out, and it is really very depressing to note that every day we discuss on either an adult being raped or either a child being raped, either it's a boy or a girl. I don't know where the society is going to. I would just like to make 2-3 points here quickly. That is, the children need to be taught moral science, which was there previously in our school and in our time, which is not there in today's school. It has environmental science, which does not include a moral science. And this sanitizes, it sensitizes the, the children towards the girl and the woman. Another thing that I would like to also say is that a lot of schools in Pune have counselors. I don't know whether the school had counselor or not, wherein, the kids can go and always speak to them and they are open, and the counselor, who being a psychiatrist, can always judge and map what is happening with that child, whether he is being harassed in the house. We don't know really why this child has done this, we have to really go deep down and understand what is going on in his mind or her mind, whatever it is. I have no words to say, where our society is going to. Looking at this rate, I don't know what would be our future generation. Another thing which I would like to also say is that our children are today exposed to technology which is available freely on net or on mobile, which is, the parents keep the mobile and children immediately go and access it. Parents have to be very, very vigilant.
Yes.
Parents have to have strict, I wouldn't say strict in the sense.
Yes. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. Ritu Khanna on the phone line from Delhi. Ritu Khanna, go ahead.
Yeah, hello.
Yes.
Good evening, ma'am. Yeah, this is actually, I have a couple of questions I wanted to ask, that why, your show is such a nice one which you conduct and go in for so many things, but why there's no one who asks the schools, why it is understaffed? And secondly, the teachers which they, go in for, why the age of the teachers they do not consider to handle the senior students? Because I was listening to Vikram sir also about the school, and I'm really that at least he is the one who is understanding what the schools are lacking. And they just smile it off when these students, adolescent students, they have their problems. So they need to be credible enough and keep certain things which are sensitive to them. And
absolutely, that's a good point. And let's come back to the point of counselling in schools and why we don't have counsellors in school. You had a point to make on that, Shirley?
In schools, basically government-aided schools, government schools do not have a provision for counsellors and psychologists. Teacher counselor, there's one teacher taken for a training for 1 year, and she's a teacher counselor. She will be given a subject to teach as well, and so simultaneously counseling and teaching are two different parts, because counselor needs to be one-on-one and to follow up the child continuously. Now with the new system that has come up, I agree with that sir who said that in the past we respected our teachers, whether they corrected us, we respected. True. Today, too, our students need our personal touch, our teachers' mental health.
Where is the mismatch? What are we not getting? Do we not have enough staff? Aren't we able to keep the children, keep an eye on the children, like you said? Where is it going wrong?
We have less staff in terms of certain schools. We have to think in terms of schools where there's surplus staff, which they are just shunted to some other place, some other state, through some other medium. So for example, if I talk about my own school, I can give this example. This is an English medium school, a Marathi medium and a Gujarati medium. The Gujarati medium is almost getting closed down. The Marathi medium is getting closed down. I have only one school index number. So the Marathi medium teacher is inducted into the English medium. The Gujarati medium is taken into the English medium. So my English students, medium students are getting teachers who are teaching English in Marathi language or in English in Gujarati.
What relevance does that have to keeping the children safe?
So what happens, my ability to teach in that particular medium is poor. I am not conversant with that language English. I have been taught in a medium which is far different from the medium I'm approaching the student. So my connect with the child will be, first, I'm not myself sufficiently capable enough to handle the subject or to teach the students. Secondly, when you are in that state, your mental health also is disturbed. You are in a position that nobody should laugh at you. You also have a self-esteem. So it's a dual play that's happening within you. What are you giving and what are you receiving?
But that's not the case then with a lot of the private schools.
In the private school, they have all the scope. Basically, they have good teachers. There is a good scope of screening them initially. Whoever gets into a private school is screened well.
But to be fair, Shirley Paul, the cases that we're talking about have happened largely in private schools, including the one we talked about in Kolkata happened in a fairly elite private school. Amit Khemka wanted to come in. Amit Khemka, go ahead.
Let me add to what Ms. Paul was just now saying. Interestingly, we have a Right to Education Act, and we have a constitution which makes the education as a fundamental right. But you will be surprised to know that neither the Right to Education Act nor our constitution define what education is.
Very true.
And when we went to Supreme Court saying that kindly define what education is, everybody is defining education in his own sweet manner. So every person is free to and incidentally it is the states, every state has a field day to whatever way they want their education system to be. So education is not defined in our law. This is the most interesting thing. And the Supreme Court, when we went to Supreme Court and a PIL and we wanted them to define the education, even they did not define it. So the irony is at the moment that we do not know what education is. We can go on giving lectures here, this should happen, that should happen, but if we don't have even parameters, if we do not know what education is, what is it which we have to impart to our kids, and what are we discussing about? If we do not know, our law does not define that. Our law does not say that this is what will be called education. So, whether literacy is education, whether science education is education, whether history education is education, whether sex education is education, we do not know what education is. The law does not define it.
Yes.
This is the most ironical situation.
Yes, and I also want to point out that in a PIL that was filed last year by one Mr. Danda, the petitioner had sought the framing of guidelines that will put responsibility and liability on the schools or the education institutions where these crimes or incidents take place. At that point, the Chief Justice had asked him to approach the centre with regard to framing of those guidelines. So it has come up in courts right now. And I just want to go back to the victim's father, जो बच्ची के पापा है हमारे साथ. आपको अभी क्या उम्मीद है पुलिस से या कानून से या स्कूल से? आपको क्या लगता है कि स्कूल की गलती थी इसमें? जो बच्ची के पापा है हमारे साथ, मेरी आवाज़ आप तक आ रही है?
हाँ आ रही है भाई।
हाँ, आपको अभी क्या उम्मीद है कानून से या पुलिस से? क्या आपको लगता है कि स्कूल की गलती थी इसमें?
हाँ इसमें तो गलती है, पूरे स्कूल की गलती है, क्लास टीचर की गलती है पूरे।
और आपको ऐसा क्यों लगता है?
ऐसा लगता है कि वो लड़की बच्ची हमारी जब क्लास टीचर को बताएगी, जब वो सुनने के लिए तैयार नहीं है क्लास टीचर, तो उसमें तो लापरवाही क्लास टीचर की है।
जी। वो सुनने के लिए तैयार नहीं थी। This is the other point, of course. We need CCTVs. We need to make sure that
they are not following the Supreme Court guideline.
Yes.
See, every school, if they even follow the Supreme Court guideline, this would not happen.
I just want to make a point here.
Yeah, I'll come back to you, Mr. Tekrewal. Go ahead. What is the Supreme Court guideline?
The money mongerness and the Yeah.
Well, I'll come back to you. Go ahead.
The Supreme Court guidelines are very clear to place CCTV in every classroom, in every corridor, in every strategic place in such a way that the person who is handling the security, the principal, and maybe one member of the management should have a display board. So you can know the movement of the children. Somebody is there, vigilant, taking care of what's happening in the various washroom area, corridor area, what is happening. Here now what is happening, this guideline is there. The Supreme Court has well defined the guideline for the safety and security, but it is not being implemented or not being followed at all. This is one of the cause which I feel in this particular case is one major thing. Second thing is when a child is going, there should be a buddy. Okay, and that's according to the person I understood is that the students had gone home and there were few students in a classroom.
Yes.
So it is possible to send another child or maybe another teacher could have gone rather than all the teachers leaving and going away. That one teacher could have assisted the child move. See in the movement of the child in the classroom towards the toilet. Somebody at least keep an eye. It's someone at least keep an eye. Don't wait for the incident to happen and then cry over it. It's high time that I think we take things seriously. The Right to Education Act was formed very beautifully for a good cause. But unfortunately, its implementation was so haphazard, and so therefore today in this system, we are having maximum problems than what we expected is by 2020 that India will be shining. No, India is shining today, and I think we are going to have broken pieces from now on. All the children who have gone through various forms of abuse, whether physical or sexual, they are going to be real broken pieces, and it is like basically what I call it, it's a rape of the future society. And the child will not be in a take rational decision, trust people. They will be totally difficult to even manage any situation. We need to wake up. That's it.
Sushil Kumar, go ahead.
I just want to add on one thing in this. If such kind of incidents are happening inside the school, then of course the school authorities and the school owners should be made accountable and responsible and obliged for that. And they should be held responsible. They should be dealt in a very, very strict and stringent manner. And the law is essentially required to be mandated on this part. One thing more I'd like to add on, that see, if the school is being constituted for the purpose of trust and philanthropy and imparting education in a holistic manner, the approach is going contrary to that. You are converting it into a private limited company, you are corporatizing it, commercializing it, and you are doing whatever you want in a money monger manner, where you keep multiplying the schools one after another, sitting in 5-star hotels and rooms, letting the school to administer on its own with no infrastructural facilities, and the money is being sucked from that school to be invested somewhere else. If these kind of things are getting continued, and if the negligence is going to this extent where the things are happening, of course things will be reaching to this disturbing level what we are seeing today. And of course the need is to also held accountable to the owners and trustees of the school as well, and so that we can try to spare these kind of things whatever is happening in a very shocking manner today.
Well, I want to bring in Dr. Harish Shetty. Dr. Harish Shetty, if the school teacher, as in class teacher, as in this case, told the child to go sit down and stop complaining, stop crying, which is what the parents have told us, that when she went back to the class and she was crying and she explained what was going on, the teacher told her to go sit down and stop crying. That causes enough damage as well. So obviously we have a system here where teachers are either not trained or they are not aware, Dr. Shetty.
Yeah.
Teachers, unfortunately, have a lot of responsibilities. They also are scared, and they have a sense of denial. How much can a teacher do in a government school? She's supposed to correct the child, teach the child, examine the child, come for election duty, do census duty. So the modern teacher has to be trained continuously on gender awareness, on identifying early signs of trauma, on responding to the early signs of trauma. We in Mumbai have started training an emergency response team inside the school, where if any such incident happens, the emergency response team immediately responds. So the response of a teacher depends upon the software what the teacher has in her mind, which is based on her experience and her training. So what we need is not to shoot the teacher, but to empower the teacher, train the teacher, and see to it that she responds effectively and immediately. So never demonize a teacher, a mother, and a school cop and a cop on the road. It's important to really empower them across time and see that they respond immediately, early, so that trauma can be actually prevented. But mental health mapping of high-risk children can also be done in schools so that such events can be actually prevented. And it can only happen if parent-teacher associations and schools work as a family, and that I think is most crucial. Lastly, it is also imperative that kids who are difficult are identified very early in the first standard and the second standard, and high impulsivity, kids who have high impulsivity, kids who are known to be violent, should be screened and also continuously counseled. Mental health counselors are a must in the school, and schools should afford mental health counselors, but unfortunately the number of counselors in the country is also very small. The state has to pitch in to build counseling systems in schools.
Well, Vikram Singh had a point to make. Vikram Singh, very quickly, I have a couple of people on the phone line, but go ahead.
Faye, just quick points that agreed there is crime, hedonism, violence and neurotic materialism. But Dr. Shetty, there are a few things that will never be out of fashion. The parents living behind closed doors, this was unheard of a few years ago. Teachers imploring the students to bring them gifts on Teachers' Day. Guru Devo Bhava. Teachers are supposed to be gods, and to accept gifts from students and parents was something like sacrilege and a sin. I would expect the teachers and parents to rise to the occasion and to be upright and be role models and iconic as far as moral high ground is concerned.
Right, we have a couple of people on the phone line. Saad Khan on the phone line from Mumbai. Mr. Khan, go ahead.
Hi, good evening to everybody, and my empathy with the family. I wish I never used the word sympathy because I never want to go through it. All right. Now, just to make a simple point, I think we are wasting a lot of government money behind trying to make a system perfect, which is so flawed. It is flawed to the core. I think we should stop trying to follow the Western education system. We should stop trying to, make things right with what's been going on, because nothing was planned. All right. Things were just being made better and better were going on. What we need now is to go right down to the core and take a fresh start, completely fresh start. Education is the core of any country, economy, anything, right? Let's start a system wherein we make new kind of school, smaller classrooms, small number of students witnessed by a teacher all the time. It is possible because we are a highly populated country. We can invest our days, years, and decades into making teachers better by giving them better education system for them, train them better, have longer courses for them if required. But in 20 years, we have a system which has better teachers who are equipped to be counselors on their own. And then all these problems will start getting solved, because then you have a classroom with 10 students, one teacher. Teacher finds it easy to communicate with the parents because they're just 10 students, and 10 students cribbing at the same time, easy, can be managed. 100 students in a classroom, and all of them having a problem. How is one teacher supposed to address
How is one
that?
teacher supposed to? Absolutely.
We are blessed with population.
Yes, Kavita Chugh on the phone line from Mumbai. Kavita, go ahead.
I am absolutely in agreement to what he just said, that the classroom should be smaller with less number of students so that teachers can give attention. But along with that, what I would also suggest is the teachers should be well trained. I have seen a lot of play schools training the teachers, which does not give out the right kind of training to deal with children. Any child who is like what the doctor was saying just now, the children who are in the first, second standard, you come to know in the beginning only that they are naughty and you should start. No, but at that time, the teacher starts shaming them. A person who is little mischievous or hyperactive child, you should deal with them. The teacher should know how to deal with them in a different way. Because
yes. But I also want to point out, if on one hand we have a principal on the panel who tells us that the schools are invariably understaffed. If we want smaller classrooms, we'll have to have more teachers. If we want more teachers, we have to find a way to pay them, to train them, to equip them for the job. Gunjan also, I understand, on the phone line. Gunjan, go ahead.
Yeah, can I speak now?
Yes, go ahead, Gunjan.
Okay, hi Faye ma'am. First of all, I want to say that I really follow your program, and I'm so happy you bring up relevant issues to the front. What I want to say is, as a mother of 2 children, and also I've been a teacher in school, and I know that the problem today is that the teachers in right from primary classes, they are so overworked and they are saddled with so much work. It's paperwork because schools have to show certain, they have to show as a feedback to the parents. There's a lot of show off that the schools have to do. So I know there's a lot of work that they have to show on their website, so the feedbacks that the teachers have to do, and it is all during the school hours. So basically the problem is that the teachers are overworked, they run short of patience, and when they are interacting with the students, all they are concerned is that the paperwork, that the notebook work and whatever the syllabus has to be covered, that has to be taken care of, and they're not bothered, and schools have stopped making provision for a human interaction between the teacher and the student, which is the primary thing, because the teacher has to be like a mother in school. That is absolutely a gap in today's school and today's education, and that's what I think.
All right. I want to bring in, you wanted to say, there are a lot of suggestions on how schools should be better, but is that practical? How do we improve our schools at this point?
See, at this point, my suggestion would be to start with the B.Ed training there. At the B.Ed training, a screening of all those would-be teachers, first and foremost, whether their mental health is at least normal enough to cater to the stress of the school life, because they have to take in their own stress as well and the students before. First. Second, is their emotional quotient high enough to manage that government or private school, whatever they are in. Whether it is 30, I studied in a school where there were 64 students and I had one teacher, but even now I respect that teacher because she had time for everybody. Every emotion of every child that teacher understood. Today that teacher in the classroom is incapable, or probably she is not empowered to understand a child. She is only knowledge based. The B.Ed system and the D.Ed system needs to be revived. Right. They need to understand exactly what's happening, because all of them are just moving into teachers' post and they just love it because it's a half-day job. But the thing is, pressures of the government is important. There's a lot of paperwork that comes for a teacher that you have to fill. Now with this baseline and the Naidanik Chachni and so many things that have come in, the teachers full-time only doing this. She hardly has time even to complete the portion in the school. So here you're doing paperwork, and that doesn't mean the school actual teaching, education has happened. Education is drawing out the best in child.
I also want to bring in Dr. Shetty here. Dr. Shetty, before, we have a couple of minutes before we have to wrap up, but my question to you is this. Please, if you can, give instructions to the parents who are watching as to what conversations they should be having with their children at this point, so that the children understand the risk better, they're able to protect themselves better. Dr. Shetty.
Number one is that always never blame the teacher in front of the child. Number two is share feelings with the children at home and don't share adjectives like you're useless, etc. Number three is help them understand what happens to the other child when he is hit or she is hit, and ask them what would they feel about if the same thing happens to you. Number four, see that the sleep habits of the children are very good. If they sleep well, they will hit less. The play and the diet. These are the three small important things where the principals can do, where the teachers can do. And lastly, a busy parent in a metro or in a village, when he or she comes home from office, see that the intensity of contact is more important than the quantity of contact, which means don't ask about homework and exams all the time. Ask about how they felt in the school, what is the food they shared with their children, and see that they are touched enough and they are hugged enough. Lastly, if they do some small, if they are involved in some petty crime in the school or an act which is not helpful, they should hug the child a little longer and a little stronger and find out ways so that they can change. Never reject the child, share your feelings with the child, and see to it that you and the teacher stand on the same page when it comes to the child. Never abuse a teacher in front of the school, in front of the child.
All right, never abuse the teacher. I have just one person on the phone line, Joseph on the phone line from Navi Mumbai. Joseph, go ahead. All right, Joseph's not on the phone line anymore. Closing statements, Amit Khemka and Mr. Tekriwal, I know you had something to say. Amit Khemka, very quickly.
Yeah, we have to immediately, the government must commission a study to know as to why children commit crime. I mean, the services of people like Dr. Kejriwal can be utilized for that purpose. Dr. Shetty. Dr. Shetty. Yes. Dr. Shetty can be utilized for that purpose. And yeah, we must know as to why kids commit offense. Only then we can give solutions. One. Second is we must define what education is. It should be standardized across schools, across the country. The education should be standardized. It should be one education given everywhere and to everyone. Then only you will be able to train teachers. If the teacher itself is confused as to what education is to be imparted, what are you expecting from them? Especially when they are trained in the colleges mushrooming all over the country. I mean, in one district in Uttar Pradesh, you have almost about 1,000 B.Ed colleges. So, I mean, what are you expecting out of the teachers trained there? So, it is the thing is that you have to standardize it. You have to create a system where everybody knows beforehand what education is to be imparted.
All right. Also, Mr. Tekriwal, you had a comment to make. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing, that the legal education and legal science should be taught compulsorily amongst the students right from class 6, class 5, and it should be mixed with moral science. This is something which can be more impacting and more maturing their mind. Absolutely.
All right, we've run out of time on this conversation, but it is a very, very important conversation to have, to understand that when we separate our children from us for 5 hours a day or 6 hours a day or 8 hours a day, when they're in school, when they're in coaching classes, when they're in school buses, how do we keep them safe? And it's obvious from the comments that we have received that it has to be a collective responsibility between government, between educationists, between schools, teachers and parents that work together as a community. What we will continue to do on this channel, though, is find space on prime time to have these conversations so more of us can start thinking about it. Now, like Shirley Paul pointed out, that there are Supreme Court guidelines about CCTVs. There are Supreme Court guidelines about how schools should be kept safe. We would all be well advised to look up those guidelines today, to go to school tomorrow and look and see if the school is following those guidelines. If it's not, bring it up at the next PTA meeting and make sure that at least that's a good start, that we follow the guidelines, we talk to our children about safety, we talk to our schools about safety, and we collectively work to making a more safe society for our children so they are not becoming victims of crime and they're not committing crime, both of which are our responsibility. Thanks for watching.